The boom of 2015 saw investors rushing into the property market. Now there's evidence the tables have turned in favour of renters in many inner city areas across Australia. Thousands of off-the-plan apartments are coming online, flooding an oversupplied market. Investors are now competing to rent out their properties, even forced to offer incentives to lure tenants into a lease. Here's Emily Stewart.
This wonderful inner city apartment has this fabulous 90 square metre deck.
And I see a new appointment, maybe advertise for me.
This two-bedroom apartment in Brisbane CBD is standing empty. The owner's forced to drop the rent by more than 6% to try and secure a tenant.
There's just a huge oversupply of apartments right now for renters. So renters have got choice, and we're finding it's taking longer to rent properties, but also we're finding that rents are starting to ease off.
According to SQM research, in inner Brisbane the vacancy rate is over 5%. When it hits 3%, it's considered a renter's market. So for the first time ever, developers and traditional real estate agents are offering sweeteners to compete for prospective tenants.
We're starting to see offers of 6 months internet free, iPads. We currently have quite a few properties that we're giving a week's rent free and also $500 Coles Myer vouchers.
Brisbane's in the midst of a development boom, with more than 13,000 new apartments proposed or being built in the next year. And demand for rentals has softened with the end of the mining boom and fewer international students moving to the city.
What's happened there in Brisbane, there's been very strong development activity running far ahead of underlying demand, and it's already putting downward pressure on rents.
Perth and Darwin are suffering too with the downturn in mining, with Darwin seeing over 4% vacancy and inner city Perth almost hitting 7%.
Perth and Darwin are our chief cities of concern. We think vacancy rates are still going to rise from here, and that will put further downward pressure on the rental market, which is great for tenants, not so good though for existing property investors in those cities.
Investment advisor Daryl Dixon says Canberra isn't faring any better, with an oversupply in off-the-plan apartments made worse by a decline in public sector employment. In the inner south, vacancy rates have risen to almost 4.5%.
In Canberra, the best performing part of the market has been the block of land the ex-government's built on blocks of land, and it would seem to me it's pretty hard to say that an off-the-plan purchase is a great way about getting an investment property, particularly if you're talking about it as a long-term investment.
And with banks tightening their lending terms for investors and valuing the property on completion, investors are often caught out.
They have to find additional money. In some cases, if they don't complete the contract, the properties are put up for fire sale again, and but the purchaser is still liable for any loss involved at the time of resale.
And a fire sale will likely end in disappointment. According to NAB, apartment sale prices are forecast to stay flat or fall in every capital city as tighter credit, worsening affordability and increasing supply hit the residential market.
My advice for property investors this year is to be very cautious. Interest rates could well come down in the middle of the year, but I think with the share market being weak, the world economy under difficulties, it could be a slower year, definitely a slower year than last year.
Sobering news for the stampede of investors who rushed to get into the market in the boom of 2015.